Welcome back again, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us. We have had a few technical issues, which is ironic because we're a tech event, but we're back now with you. So in our next session, we will chat with a panel of industry experts about building that intelligent backbone with the latest thinking in cloud ERP strategies. So please welcome Ethan Benatan, Chief Information Officer at TriMet, Dippu Kumar Singh, Head of Data Analytics at Fujitsu Americas, and Sanath Chilakala, Director of AI and Data Analytics at NTT Data. So thank you for joining us all.
Good morning, and thank you.
Good morning, and thank you.
Good morning, Ella. Thank you.
Thank you for getting on, even in with your phone.
I'm the technical difficulties, in case anybody was wondering.
So I have given you all a very brief introduction there, but I would love if you could actually beef them up and give me who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. So if we start with you, Ethan.
Thank you so much. I'm the Chief Information Officer at TriMet. We're the transit agency that serves the Portland, Oregon region. So we serve about 500 square miles with buses and trains and paratransit. I've worked my entire career in nonprofit and government. Started off many years ago before it was cool with a PhD in AI. Didn't know it was going to be this cool later after I've gone into management. So that's me in a nutshell.
It has become very cool now, so I think it's a good conversation starter at dinner parties. Brilliant. So, Deepa, if we go to you.
Sure. I'm a strategic data analytics leader, and my entire focus area right now is mostly to go into the emerging space, look for new solutions, innovative solutions. And I have been mostly working in my life on solutions related to computer vision, and now I'm focusing on generative AI, LLMs, and also agentic AI pieces of work.
Brilliant. And Sana.
Hi, guys. So I've been 18 years in the industry, currently working as a practice leader, data practice leader, and in the AI division at NTT Data. I lead most of the modernization strategies and implementations for most of our healthcare and insurance clients across the globe. So fortunate enough to work with clients in Japan, Europe, America, South America, India. So I work with a lot of global teams. Very key components, helping clients be part of their AI journey. It's a very uh, exciting as well as a very, very interesting shift for most of the clients. Clients are getting anxious. So working with them, trying to work the solutions, having them implemented is part of my day-to-day job. So that is about me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for joining us. Let's jump straight in. So we're here to talk about cloud ERP strategies. So let's first set the scene. What is a cloud ERP strategy? Ethan, do you want to set us off?
What is a strategy? That's a great question. I mean, for me, I guess I would say the question is, how are we going to approach this? TriMet's pretty early on in our cloud ERP journey. So we're still using on-prem right now, but we're right in the thick of evaluating it. So I think it's a perfect time for us to be doing an evaluation that's really a whole new approach. It's very different from how we would have done an evaluation a few years ago. I'm super optimistic about the future of AI, but I think there are also two things that are true right now. So the first one is that we know right now that the hype is bigger than the deliverables. And so like, if you look at the Gartner hype cycle, just for one example, but lots of things line up with this, right? Most of the stuff that you're seeing coming out in AI, and there's many different technologies, but most of them are somewhere near the hype of the peak of inflated expectations, and some are tumbling down, very few are climbing up. So for me, it's about readiness. So in answer to your question, what I'd say right now, it's about readiness. It's about finding a vendor who's going to be a long-term good partner. It's about thinking long-term and the future of AI. I'm not so interested in in exactly what that vendor is doing today. And I don't believe I'm going to be looking for huge returns in the first year, but it's a long game.
It's interesting that you say about the hype of AI, because there was an article today that came out, and the Google boss has said that the boom of AI can actually be really costly to business because everyone's getting so caught up in it that we're not actually prepared for it.
Amen. Yeah, that's the first line in our AI strategy is follow reality, not hype.
Yeah, and that's very wise. So, Deepu, where are you on that journey then?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for us, the strategy isn't just like moving that some objects to the cloud just to save some server cost and anything on those lines, like saving the resources. That is not exactly a cloud ERP strategy for us. It's about like fundamentally changing how we use the data, which directs, right? And now the industry is more and more moving towards data driven architecture rather than just creating a bundle of you know objects and let them not talk to each other, right? And the reasoning is quite simple in this. Like the traditional ERPs, they are great system of records, like they do hold good amount of data, but they are quite terrible, if I say so, at handling the new variety of the data, which is like unstructured data, especially like videos or some external market feeds, and the way we are actually growing in the data spaces, right? So we definitely need a system or a cloud ERP strategy which is much more integrated, not create a disintegrated system, but mostly to centralize the data. And I think the cloud ERP strategy is all about that. You bring that data at one place, make sure that is centralized, easy to use and share, and thereby you get more intelligence out of it.
And Sanath, I saw you nodding away. Are you in agreement there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, most of the clients that we work with, right? They're what we push forward as a strategy is around agility, scalability, innovation, right? With so much modern technologies around, with the need of data being available at near real time, like everybody wants sub-second responses today. So the integration pieces, the real-time availability, and the key component now, which is in the market, is the AI readiness. Or do we have solutions in the which are available out there which are AI ready, right? The demand is growing very fast at this point, right? So that is these are some key components that are need to be considered while implementing this whole entire strategy. And this is not just a technology implementation. At the end of the day, it's a mindset shift compared to how legacy ERP systems are operating, compared to how future cloud ERP systems should be, right? It's the way the entire operational model shifts, and the people start to think that, okay, this is how I have to approach in a different way. So you have to draw your blueprints again, keeping your core foundational business model in mind, but you have to draw your entire blueprint again to understand all the integration pieces, all the business use case, all the outcomes that come out of an implementation. That is what is key to an ERP strategy.
So, right, let's talk about that integration then. Obviously, Deepu, you mentioned that we need to have a very cohesive, integrated strategy. What are some of the most significant operational outcomes that you've seen?
um, to be honest, like we can do many types of integrations, and in my experience, we generally have been working in the competitive edge. So we mostly focus on manufacturing, so we tackle supply chain and financial reporting. Those are our key business areas, so we definitely you know target to integrate the cloud ERP with them. And the logic here is that the inventory is the capital which is tied up on a shelf, right? So if you can't see it, you are definitely losing the money. So we manage this by mostly integrating the ERP data with advanced data analytics platform. And I have a very good example for that. Like we were working for a manufacturing client. We integrated their ERP inventory data with a Palantir cloud-based unified data platform system. And we did this because they had the issues of ink cartridges, like stocks were very low, sometimes too much in some places, and sometimes there were shortages in other places, right? So we created a real-time data integration which could identify the excess and the shortage of the inventory data, And the result was, millions of dollars just in cost savings, like because we stopped buying the stocks, we didn't need the data at all, right? That is just one example. We can manage these integrations by treating the data as a product in a nutshell, like ensuring it's pure, it's clean and usable. And before even it hits the analytics layer, we just need to make sure that the business processes are ready to inherit these capabilities, right? And make sure that they are talking to each other. That's the more core crux of this. But to answer short, Ella, I mean, we definitely focus on supply chain and financial forecasting, and those are some of the key areas we have been seeing a lot boom in the integration standpoint.
Brilliant. And Sanath, any key operational improvements that you've seen?
So primarily just one example of one of a client implementation that we have done in the past, right? When we had the client's finance and supply chain operations were sitting in SAP S4 HANA. And on the other side, we have a procurement and project management, everything coupled in the Oracle ERP. So having these two systems work with each other from an integration standpoint, make sure they talk to each other, that was very trivial. Those are two different technologies, two different platforms all together. But creating that integration layer through APIs or a real-time messaging between these applications is very trivial for driving all of those business processes. The finance, procurement, supply chain, human resources, customer, all of these are major factors and outcomes which drive from these integration pieces. So as I said, we have multiple clients who have had these operations sit on multiple cloud systems. So the key was to integrate these systems together in order to make sure they get the 360 end-to-end flow of their entire implementation.
And Ethan, I can see you're desperate to jump in because you've unmuted twice.
No, I heard a little background noise, so I was muting to see if it was me, but I don't think it was. That tech problem might not be mine. But first of all, +1 on everything that I've heard from Dippu and Sanath. Those ring absolutely true for me. And at the same time, because of where we are in our journey at TriMet, I'm really interested in thinking about the far distant future, and far distant in AI years means like 3 years, right? So, so exactly, right. So, what's really huge for me when we think about integration is agentic AI and how we start to integrate agents into the work of our business. And so I'm not sure that everybody is completely up to speed on this, and it's kind of hard to grasp. So I use a really simple model to me of what agentic AI means, which is, we have human biological agents out there. So you think of a frontline customer service agent, right? Or a frontline employment insurance agent or somebody like that. They have a complicated job. They have access to a lot of resources. They can really mess things up, right? And AI agents can do the same thing. And as we start bringing in AI agents, the question for me is how they get integrated into this workforce, and how we also put the same kind of ability to monitor and correct so that we don't propagate serious mistakes. But we already do that for humans, right? So I think how we plug into our existing systems of control and correction and feedback loops and learning over time is going to be critical. You can see this now, right? If you look at Microsoft Entra Agent ID puts agents into the org structure the same as it puts humans in. So agents need that kind of management. And the challenge, right, is that we have to build the foundation solidly because they're going to act so fast at such volume that we can't. We want the same kinds of controls as we have for humans now, but they need to be automated and working at dramatically faster speeds in the future. So when I think about integration, that kind of workforce integration with AI is kind of next level, which is in no way minimizing what I heard about the criticality of data integration. That's got to happen. But like what's next is what's interesting for me. And so the question of what is the shape of that organization when agents are running around doing these things hundreds or thousands of times faster than we can is the place to be looking.
So you mentioned having a strong foundation there, really, which brings me perfectly on to my next question. So how does a robust cloud ERP strategy actually serve as a foundational backbone for a broader digital transformation, like you mentioned, Ethan? So if we start with you, Sanath.
So As I said, the foundations are key. That's what, as we spoke about earlier, as Ethan mentioned, foundations are very trivial. There are key components that are necessary for the future state of the entire roadmap. Right? It's not just about implement. It's not, again, I want to make sure that this is not a technology implementation. End of the day, it's a strategy. It's a roadmap towards your future. All these agents, all these are cool stuff that where we are fortunate enough to play around and start to experiment, but it comes with a cost, and it comes with effective planning is necessary for implementation of such kind of a modernization set for the future. So these foundation pieces are very, very trivial. So as I said, I was mentioning earlier that you have to have your clear blueprint of how your business alignments should be, or your business goals should be, and how that intertwines with your digital transformation. As long as you have both of them coupled together at every step of the way, and make sure that you have adoption also at every layer as possible, backed by robust data governance and robust data integration patterns. As long as you have all of that and the capability of being agile, that's a very successful ERP strategy solution for you. So these are foundation pieces which are very, very trivial, but they need to have at every step of the way, backed by human intervention and oversight all the way through.
So, I mean, Ethan, obviously you mentioned what you're planning to do next, and what you're going to build on this backbone, but how are you now making sure that that backbone is solid right now?
That's a great question. And for anybody who's worked in government, you'll know that it's not a trivial question. So obviously, that starts with things like policies and data foundations and business processes that make that foundation super solid right now. And I think particularly in the government world where I work, we're extremely focused on trying to make sure that the actions when we bring AI onto that picture and accelerate it and empower it are in line with our values and ethics, because we are here 100% to be in service to the public, right? So you can afford maybe in business to neglect some customers that might impact your market. But if you're neglecting some customers or you're giving them bad service systematically in government, then you're doing a grave injustice, right? Because you're not showing up and doing what government needs to do. So for us, really building that foundation in a way that makes sure that we are equitable and fair is really huge, so that we can deliver what government, what our constituents expect from government, what residents expect from government. I want to give a call out to the work of the GovAI Coalition. So we're a coalition of 900 state and local governments, almost but not entirely all in the US. We have some international representation, and we welcome more. But we're working together to share best practices and to influence the development of AI for the public good. And for me, that is a critical foundation right now. While we're running full steam ahead, let's not forget that it has to come back and align with our values. So it's a little bit philosophical rather than technical, consistent with where I am in the process right now. But I think it's the thing that worries me the most long term. I'm not worried about solving the technical problems. I am worried about solving that kind of alignment problem.
Yeah, I worked in local government for a long time, and it was a lot of red tape to cut through. So, Dippu, what about you? What are you doing to make sure that you've got that solid foundation?
Yeah, I mean, our driving business goals, to be honest, I think it's mostly related to monetization. Like for us, digital transformation is a buzzword, and it has been in the industry for more than a decade or even beyond that, right? So if the cloud ERP strategy, it does not generate a value or new revenue stream for us, I think that's a problem. I think we then and there start taking course corrections. So our philosophy is definitely to make sure that the ERP shouldn't just sit there idly. It should work for you in and out. And one of the key example I will say, like which was there in my previous organization when I was working, we were creating a cloud strategy uh, um, for a big tech company, and what they were trying to do was they were trying to monetize the global entity data, like think about it, Microsoft Inclination, Microsoft Corp, all of them are different entities, right? But ultimately they want to had uh, a master data of it, right? And that was the crux of the entire project of it, right? They wanted a AI driven master data management framework using cloud systems, right? And that was their strategy which they were driving for it. And you can imagine, like, if you had that kind of data scattered across, um, not just in a specific region but globally, uh, that becomes totally, unuseful, and it's you cannot use that data at all, right? So we had to use some unsupervised learning models which we were cleaning, mastering the data, improving the data intelligence, and that perfectly, aligned with the business goals, like turning the internal data assets which was scattered into the external market values, and you know generating money out of it, monetizing it, right? So in our opinion, I mean, if your ERP strategy does not directly feed into revenue generation or significant operational efficiency, we should take a step back and definitely understand the elephant in the room and take next steps.
So let's talk about that ROI then. Obviously, you need to keep your CFO happy. So what metrics do you actually measure with a cloud ERP system? If we just start with you, Deepu, because you just mentioned it.
Sure. And I look at ROI from two different lenses, like what is the hard saving and what is the risk mitigation which is attached to it, right? Um, on hard saving sites, like we definitely track the efficiency or the gains which are getting out of it. Like, just to give an example, in a transportation program which we were working, uh, we were deriving a lot of data which was coming from their core systems, and we automated their asset detections, for the um, for the for the assets which were, specifically present on the railway tracks. And just by labeling those assets, and automating it, we saved almost more than $500,000 annually, and that was clear and untangible, or a tangible information or a metric which we generally show as part of ROI, right? The second, most important, I feel so, is you have to measure the soft ROI of the adoption. Like, if you build a system and no one uses it, your ROI is zero, right? So we definitely should track that adoption rate religiously, because the higher the adoption means the business is actually getting the value from the investment which you are making. And one example which comes to my mind is we were using org chain management, like an OCM, organization change management framework, and that was for a very highly regulated platform. And the citizens, they were not interested in adopting it, but doing it iterations, doing in multiple increments, we made the business understand, like, if you do this, you are going to have an increment into your business values, and ultimately you get maximum ROI out of it. So it's more of an adoption change, also a mindset change, as Sanath was also saying. You need to take that into the core business, and then understand whether you are getting ROI out of it or not. If not, then you have to again take a step back, take a different course correction.
Well, Sanath, any metrics that you measure?
So primarily, see, the way we measure this is in two ways, right? One is the technology boost that you get. How do you measure that from a operational cost, compute, system downtimes, manual issues, so you whatever issues that you have on your current on-prem system, right? From a technology draw, you once you move into the cloud, what are all the gains? That is one set of ROI that you get. But the second piece of it is the more of the business outcomes, right? From a functional side of it, there are multiple, depending on the type of business that you're dealing with. As Deep was mentioning earlier, every business has its own level of qualitative metrics that they track upon from a functional standpoint. So all of those are also another piece of it, which are very trivial for tracking the ROI based of a good implementation. As I said, both pieces are equally trivially important. One where there's a cost component, where is definitely which is going to show from an infra standpoint, from a compute standpoint, from an availability standpoint. The second piece of it is where how you power your business teams, right? It's not about just the monetary value. It's about enabling um, your business teams to work, focus more on the operations pieces of it rather than worrying about, okay, I'm going to wait for a whole day for a report. So it doesn't make any sense, right, in today's world. So how we generate that functional qualitative advantage and enablement for business is also another way of tracking the ROI.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm going to have to move us on, I'm afraid, Ethan. But I'll come to you next. I could see you nodding away, and I was like, I know he wants something to say. Right. So, I mean, one of the reasons why companies move to cloud ERP strategies is for that security, and obviously keeping everything in one place, but for that security. So, what's the role of data security and compliance in your cloud ERP strategy, and what
Yeah,
measures
thank
are
you
in
for
place
that.
for that?
Yeah, thank you. And yes, you can always count on me for having something to say, Ali. That's never in question. Clearly, when we look at security and compliance in the AI world, we're just raising the stakes. One of the things that I say in government in general, there's a frenzy around AI adoption in the world right now. And in my field, one of the things I like to say is like, nobody's going to take over our business because they're moving faster than us because of AI, right? So we actually have a little moment to not worry about the hype, except for one area, and that's cybersecurity, because our attackers are already using it. And so for me, that is the one area of AI adoption where we need to be super aggressive. And the only way that we can reasonably defend against the kinds of attacks that are manifesting today is with AI on the defense side as well. So every part of our defense in depth now has an AI component, or is getting an AI component, is in the process of getting that AI component now. And our ability to respond very quickly to threats, to data losses, to any threats to our compliance has to be AI powered as well. And you said we're running out of time, so I'll hand it over there.
It's a really good point, though. You need to be equipped with the same, stuff that the people who are trying to get you is. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I noticed when I worked in local government is it was quite hard to get tech across the line, and it was quite hard to get new things implemented. Is that something that you found in that journey?
Yes, to some extent. And I like to believe there's a good reason for that, which is when we're in public service, where we have a lot of different competing goods, right? I can't just show up and say this has an ROI and therefore we need to do it, right? Because how we measure our success is much more complicated than an ROI. So I think for me, the question is really how we manipulate that or navigate. I won't say manipulate. How we navigate, that was a terrible word. How we navigate that space around choosing between those competing goods. And so it comes down to a governance problem. I think technically it's just hard not to be overwhelmed because government wants to do everything and focus is hard.
Brilliant. So Dippu, do you say secure corporate data? What's the strategy that you have in place?
Yeah, I mean, security is a top priority in every space, like wherever we work with. And in my view, like the security isn't just like a gatekeeper. It is kind of an enabler for you. If you don't use it properly, then like you may be running fast, but you may be worried that wheels are going to fall off uh, in some time, right? So, and given my background as an AI ethics advisor, um, we always try to enforce a compliance by design approach from day one rather than doing at the very end and getting into the nuts and bolts of it, right? So we definitely just don't secure the perimeter. We definitely have to start from the very basic, secure the data logics, uh, go to the um, business rules, understand like are we making anything which is not compliant with the data or the privacy laws which we think or we are not thinking of, and thereby make sure that you are having your models or your strategies free from any kind of biasness before it even starts processing and it goes into the production. So there are definitely categories of the risks which are associated with it. If you do that, and if you don't have that level of governance specifically at the ground level, your definitely ERP strategy will be, a ticking time bomb, which you have to slow it down, make sure that it is off, and you have to make sure that you have everything, policies, governance structures, who can enforce your security and compliance, and make sure that your data is fully secured and it's not flowing to everyone and anyone into the space.
So, Sanath, we're going to have to change direction slightly there.
Sure.
So, how do you ensure that your Cloud ERP strategy seamlessly integrated with all your other existing infrastructure?
Absolutely. So primarily, as I mentioned earlier as well, it's more about the integration pieces are very trivial, right? So you use techniques like APIs. API first is very key components to all of these integration patterns, especially with cross ERP systems as well. These APIs play a very key component. There are other middleware solutions and other message brokering solutions as well, which enable data to move from one point A to point B in more real time fashion and all of that. As I said, cross functionally, when we have these business operations sitting on different cloud solutions, we have these and we have these integration layers as software layers like MuleSoft, which can be used basically to talk between each of these components, which have better security, better robust protocols in place to ensure that the data does not get, data when moves in transit does not get hacked or something. So that's all the security protocols come into play. So this pub sub models basically having this handshake models are the way to basically do all of the seamless integrations between multiple ERP systems.
Brilliant. And we have about 45 seconds each now. So I'm going to ask you one final question, and that is, what advice would you offer to a colleague looking at Cloud ERP strategies, and what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned along your journey? If we start with Ethan, 45 seconds.
Yeah, I can do that. It's pretty simple. For me, it's all about setting your horizon at the right distance. It has to be far enough that you can actually stay ahead of the work, because this field is changing so fast. But it also has to be not so far ahead that you can't influence. And I think in a lot of the world around AI, there's a lot of hype where we're either feeling overwhelmed in the moment, or we're very certain about what's going to happen in the future and forget that we can influence. So it's set your horizon at the right spot.
Very good, very concise. Dippu.
My best piece of advice in this is stop treating your ERP as just like an accounting tool. Rather, treat it as your AI foundation. And the logic is straightforward, that AI is only as good as if your data feeds are optimal and of high quality. So your ERP already holds most critical data, which is sales, inventory, finance, you name it, the data will be there. So if your data is locked away and if it is dirty, your AI strategy is going to fail. So make sure your data strategy and your ERP strategy, they are talking to each other, and you are building an intelligence out of it, not just for record keeping purposes.
Brilliant. And Sanath.
Absolutely. So what I would say is the foundation pieces are very trivial for any kind of a good ERP solution, as well as for enablement for AI growth for that specific business, right? So tying back your business objectives, tying back your technology strategy, tying back your data quality strategy, integration strategy, all of these different pieces when need to be properly addressed and scoped in, and then those will set enablements for the future of AI. Remember one thing: AI is currently does not have the same functional understanding as what we possess today in basically solving a business problem. It can automate stuff, but at this point, it does not have the capability to think functionally how we do. How we enable that is basically make sure your foundation pieces and foundation data is set as a good context for AI to start learning it, and then accelerate that to get better business outcomes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, and almost perfectly on time. So thank you, Ethan, Dippu, Sanath. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
See you
Have a
later.
good day.
Bye.